How do you know when a joke has gone too far? From my experience, it tends to be that people usually get really mad, and a joke becomes offensive when you step on one of their landmines. That might be like maybe they have physical, like maybe they have insecurities about their body, or maybe their financial situation might be bad or something like that, or maybe it's a close loved one or close family member that you may have been joking about. Yeah, that tends to be a little bit too far. So in my experience, I just tended to stay away from those things because I didn't want to hurt my friends' feelings. Other friends, are a little less considerate, I guess, because hey, we're guys, we can kind of take it. But even then, I didn't want to do that to my friends, so I tended to avoid those kind of jokes. But the second part of the question, is it possible to know beforehand that the joke might go too far? Sometimes yes, but other times no. So I remember I had a habit, when I was in like eighth grade to ninth grade. That would be my freshman year in high school. I usually had a habit of tripping people. Just playfully stick my foot out and let them stumble and see, just to get a cheap laugh. Usually that went okay, but other times not so much. I remember there was this girl that slapped me right across the face for tripping her. And everybody saw it. So I never did that again. But yeah, like generally, like what I said a bit earlier, if it's a family member that's really close to them, yeah, that might be too far. Don't, usually it's better not to go there. If they're poor, I wouldn't make poor jokes because it's hard being poor. If it's like, physical insecurity, like, fat jokes and things like that, yeah, I really, even then, I wouldn't do that. Even if they do have the ability to change it, I just think I think it's a bit inconsiderate. So I just tend to avoid those. Have you ever wanted to get back at someone for doing wrong to you? Oh, yes. Yes, 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 I did. In fact, I would sometimes play the scenarios out in my head and just say, okay, if this person's going to do this to me, then maybe I'll do this to them. Anything that'll make them stop, right? So, yeah, I remember there was this boy in my class. I think this was sixth grade, either sixth grade or seventh grade, and he had a habit of talking about my haircut. Whenever like whenever I would get a new haircut, he would be one of the first to make fun of it. And so I remember it got so bad, and he was talking about me so much, and it was over a period of like weeks, months. I eventually got fed up, and I was in a wood shop class, and I said, okay, you know what? If he says one thing to me today, I'm taking this big metal and wooden stool and I'm going upside his head with it. And I didn't tell anybody that I was going to do that. I think God heard my intention. And sure enough, he didn't say anything for the next day or the next couple of weeks actually. And I was mad because I wanted an excuse to get him. Okay, but here's the next part of that question. What did you want to do to them? Yeah, I answered that one already. I was going to take that stool. Oops. Yeah, I already answered that question. So let's move on. What did you want to do to them? What do you think they would have done to you in response? I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know if I would have been. I'm sure I would have been suspended at the very least. I don't know if I would have gotten expelled or kicked out of school, but I don't know. I don't know if I would have, been arrested. I don't know what would have happened. What would he do? Eh, Probably just leave me alone from then on. Or, you know, possibility, he could try to bring up his family to the school and get them involved. Not sure. I just didn't really know him. I didn't know what kind of person he was, besides, just kind of being a jerk. I didn't know his family situation or, how they dealt with, with him having conflict at school. So it's impossible to say. The next part of the question, how would you keep them from doing wrong to you? In this case, if I was able, to take out my frustration on him that one day, I figure he probably would have left me alone from then on. But then what kind of message does that send? Does that mean that I have to, be a violent person to keep people, from messing with me? I hope not, because I don't want to be that. And I wasn't that. But laying low and trying to kind of just let it pass, that didn't really work. It didn't really work. I didn't have much success with that. So then that last part is, that last part of the question is it even possible, to stop someone from doing wrong to you? Honestly, this is one of those things that, I just kind of would recommend committing a prayer. I would honestly ask God, like if I knew today if I knew then what I know now, I would have probably prayed about the issue and then maybe, but I'm not sure if I would have, been willing to, be the one to initiate the fight. One of the things that I was concerned about was that in the school system, if two people are fighting, both get suspended. Both of you get sent home for a couple of days and you can't come back. So maybe it's like a 3-day suspension or something like that. That was one of the biggest deterrents to me actually standing up for myself and fighting. Sometimes I feel like I should have been the one to fight, or I should have been the one actually started. Because, the intense mocking, the intense name calling, it really provoked me. It provoked a response. And, the school system, they don't really distinguish between, who started it and who didn't. And, I guess that's kind of lazy on their behalf. I mean, I guess that's kind of lazy on their end. There can be, a right and wrong person in that regard, but the school system doesn't tend to recognize that. And so, bearing that in mind, I just kind of, I endured the bullying so that I didn't wind up having to, face suspension for actually standing up for myself. And that's not something I want my kids to have to deal with. I don't want my kids to have to learn that either. It's a bad system. It's a bad system. How would people describe you? Would they say you're kind, mean, funny, quiet, loud, rude? People tend to describe me as shy, like even today, but I guess that's kind of because I'm not a talkative person. I'm not shy or afraid to, to speak up to people, but I am, very reserved. I do tend to keep my thoughts to myself unless I feel like I need to say something. And people think I'm smart. People, just kind of get that feel from me, the moment they meet me. And I'll take that. I'll take that. What else do they think about me? People know me as a very polite and proper person, so you can even probably hear it in my accent, right? I speak very proper English, just, day-to-day life. This isn't, this isn't like, oh, I, use a lot of Ebonics when I'm around black people, and then when I'm around white people, I use very standard English. No, this is how I talk to every audience all the time. So I'm a very proper person. I do things by the book. And, I'm also, very polite. I will go out of my way to, tell people thank you, or to, show appreciation, or say good morning to people. So living here in China, when I come to the neighborhood gate, the guards all know who I am, because every time I pass by them, I greet them, I wave at them. Even if I don't speak really good Chinese, they can still tell that I want to show my kindness to them. And many people, they see that, and I'm glad that they see that. But that next question, how would you describe yourself? I would say people are generally right in their description of me. But, another part of me is, I am secretive. I hold a lot of things inside. I tend to, keep my mouth shut until I'm ready to, completely reveal what I'm doing or what I'm working on. I know I'm also a creative person, and so that manifests itself in things like, not just storybooks, but also things like advertising, things like business, things like, I think about how I want to build my company. I think about how I want to, raise my children. What kind of house will we live in? Like, I think deeply about all these things, because I feel like I'm never really that satisfied with the status quo. I'm not really satisfied with how everybody does things. If they do things one way, I can typically find, like at least five problems with it, and try to change it to make things better for myself and for my family. So that's another thing about me. I'm always planning, planning, planning. So yeah. How would God describe you? I think God would probably say, Jamal, you're kind-hearted. Jamal, you really care about me, and you want to, do great things for me. But I think God would probably also say, Jamal, you need to go to bed on time. You need to get enough sleep. Sometimes you need to put down your computer. Sometimes you need to read your Bible more. Sometimes you need to just spend more time praying, like actual quality time praying. And yeah, he would be right. He's God, of course. But I think I would probably go a step further and say, I would hope that when I stand in front of him and he judges me and everything I've done, I'm hoping that he'll say, "Good job." And so that takes me to the final question: Are there times when it's better for people to not like you? This stumps many of my students who have read this question and read this story so far. But what I was trying to get children to think about when they see this question is the role of peer pressure. When your friends are asking you to do things that you shouldn't be doing, or that could be damaging to your life or damaging to your future, resisting that, resisting the social pull, the social tug, and risking losing them as friends, but you're doing it because, you've got a greater thing in mind, like your health or your future. Yeah, that's when it's better for people not to like you.